So I realized the other day that I low-key, high-key manifested a much softer life than I used to have, but completely on accident. I didn't even mean to. Hey friends, it's Ollie. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for tuning in. And if you're a returner, thank you so much for coming back. So today I'm talking about, as the title says, how I manifested a softer life, but on accident. And I say this because I really only learned about manifestation very recently. But as I'm learning about it and as I'm watching videos and I'm kind of hearing other people's experiences, I'm realizing that I already did things that were basically this, and I low-key made this happen. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So I decided to make this video because I feel like a lot of people are talking about softer life, soft life, whatever you want to call it. Basically talking about having less stress, less burdens, less hardships, and trying to make life as as good as you can make it, basically. And I feel like I've very much been on that tip for about a couple years now, but just realizing the things I did specifically that kind of led me up until this point. So let me start off with some background on why I kind of got the idea to make this video. I have been binge watching Bria Jones. So if you don't know Bria Jones, I'm going to list her video down below. But basically I've been binge watching her videos, and it's hilarious because in a lot of her videos she's talking about how all of a sudden this year she's been blowing up and getting so much more following and so many more people that are really liking her page. And I'm like, yeah girl, I just found your page and I think she's fantastic. So I basically was watching her video about how she manifested her husband. And in this video she said something that kind of made a light bulb go off in my head. And it basically was the idea that when she was manifesting things, she would get a journal and she would write down what she wanted. And I was when I heard that, I'm so I say that because when I graduated college, I, a little bit after I graduated, I went to TJ Maxx. I went to a little section and I got myself a journal. And it was kind of one of those moments in life that it was just I was just really down. And I needed to do something to kind of get the feeling out. So I got a journal so I could be writing every day. And I was writing in this journal. And during this period of my life, I was applying to jobs and trying to get to a new job. And just kind of figuring out what I wanted to do with my career, right? And I kind of wrote down in my journal what I wanted from my job. So it's crazy hearing this video, because I realized one of the things that she was kind of talking about when you manifest is that you write down what you want and kind of what it feels like, what it looks like. And I did that. That's exactly what I did. So I'm going to kind of tell you guys a little excerpt from the journal just so you get a feel of what I'm talking about and you have an example. So this was in November back in 2019, so a couple years ago, and I wrote that I wanted a job that had a flexible workplace. I wanted to be able to work remotely if I needed to. I also said that I wanted to have a good amount of PTO so I can travel a lot. And then I just said, at the last line that really stuck with me was, I want a job that I feel lucky to have and not a job that I'm convincing myself to be grateful for. So that's something that really stuck with me when I read that back, because I very much feel every single thing that I wanted, I've gotten out of the current job that I have. So it's wow, I truly manifested this shit. So I think taking it further into just kind of my current life now, I feel I kind of have kept that trend of low-key manifesting things, even if I wasn't always intentional with it, just by knowing my heart and knowing what I desired, but also writing things down. I'm a big writer. I write everything down. But then also kind of the second part of it is having the right mindset and the attitude. And I feel this is the one thing I can objectively say I had a switch in me. And when this switched, I definitely saw a big change in trajectory of life, And I think the main thing that was the switch for me was really just taking away this, I had a very woe is me type of attitude, everything was happening to me. And I kind of switched the attitude into I'm in the driver's seat, I'm in control, this is my, this is my show type of biz. And when I switched into that kind of mode of like, things are happening to me, I'm making things happen, like all of a sudden, I was making things happen. And it was actually crazy to see. So that's why I kind of had that ding, like, I'm going to make a video on this, because I really realized like the power of manifestation and the power of your mind is so real. And I feel like we don't talk about it enough. So we got to talk about it. So if you clicked on this video, I'm assuming that you're looking for how you can get a softer life, how you can manifest a softer life, or maybe just wondering about manifestation and what is it, what do I do? And of course, I am no expert by any means, but I'm just telling you guys my journey and my experience. So basically, I think the first thing, as I said, is that you have to kind of have that switch in your mindset. You have to kind of look at life as a like really with an abundance mindset. And if you don't know what the abundance mindset is, I'm going to link a couple videos down below that really taught me and really like changed the way I looked at the world, and kind of to teach you about an abundance mindset. But basically what it is that you want to think of everything like there's enough to go around. Like there's enough success, there's enough partners, there's enough money, there's enough whatever you call it to go around, and whatever is for me is going to come to me. I've kind of always had that idea and that kind of mindset of whatever's for me is going to come to me, but I never really like switched into a like, but I'm gonna make it happen type of mode. So that's kind of the two parts that I think are really important, that a lot of people like hear about manifestation and they think it's like, okay, wish upon a star, okay, let's see it happen. And like, it's really not just that. It's about like knowing what you want, knowing your goals, knowing your aspirations, but also knowing what you're doing to align to those goals and aspirations, and having that two-piece part. And I feel like realizing that that's like, I make these things happen, I don't wait for them to happen to me, is like what really switched my whole life. So you have to start with like having that mindset, not being passive, like not letting things happen to you, speaking up for yourself. Also kind of just like going for the things that you want and not being afraid of what people think, and like, oh my God, what are they going to say if I do X, Y, and Z? Who gives a fuck? But also just like having this like mindset of like literally everything I want to do and touch in life, I'm going to do. And it's just about when I plan to do it. And you know what I mean? Like plan to do it. So that's number one, is just switching your mindset is going to be what sets the whole foundation for just manifesting for the rest of your life. So we've talked about mindset. The next part are the actual items, like your call to actions that you need to do, or things that you can think of doing to kind of make this happen for yourself. So for me, I'm a big journaler, and I always recommend to people, even like when I used to train, I would recommend to my clients to journal. I would say keep a food journal, keep a workout journal, always write down what happened, what you did, what your thoughts were, how you were feeling, like all those things is good to document, and you should, do that. So I personally like to really journal. I journal probably every night or every other night. And I've been a lot more consistent about that recently, but it's also been because I've wanted to. And like, I've been telling myself like, this is what actually makes me feel better. And I think it's nice because you see the waxes and the wanes of your own life. You start to notice like patterns in your own behavior, and it starts to be able to you start to be able to like pinpoint like, where like, maybe your mindset is not like serving you. Like if you have a lot of negative thoughts, if you kind of like beat down on yourself for little things, or like if you hold grudges, or, whatever the case may be. And it just kind of helps you kind of have like a reflective look. And then when you read it back to yourself, it's like a third person view, and you're like, oh shit, that's me. I wrote this. And I think that's why it's so important to journal, because not only does it help you change your mindset, it just like at first like helps you just like identify where you're at. And once you know where you're at, you know where like you can go. So I really recommend journaling. That's my favorite. And obviously there's other things you can do other than like journaling. You can go to therapy, like you can leave yourself voice notes, like whatever works for you, for real. Like just find a way to be reflective. And even if it's just meditating, I think that's great. Like you should do that. So the other parts of this are like your physical attitude towards yourself and towards like what you're actually manifesting, like the goals and the aspirations that you have for your life. So I think first that starts with really like you know, how you treat yourself and how you talk to yourself. So I would really practice like having like positive words of affirmation. So for me, I have a morning playlist that I listen to that's kind of like words of affirmation, but they're like sung to you. They're like in a song. They're basically, it's like the album called Mantras in Love. I'll link it down below. But it's just great. It's really just positive words of affirmation, but in like a really like low, like really easy kind of like vibe for the morning, that it's nice to kind of like brush your teeth and just like walk around in, because it's not like too like, you know, like upbeat that you're like, hold on, I'm not awake yet. It's kind of like that nice vibe. So I really like that, because without even noticing, I say those affirmations to myself now. Because like there's like one song on that album that's called I am a being of love, and like now I feel like I feel that like I all I am is love. I exude love. That's who I am. And it's like you just listen to these things and they become subconscious. So I really recommend like listening to words of affirmation first thing in the morning, rather than scrolling, you know, watching like anything on TikTok. Like just like put your phone down, play a little music, and like listen to positive words of affirmation in the morning. It really changes like the way you view yourself and your like your self-esteem and everything. And I think in part with the words of affirmation, you need to give yourself acts of service. And I think when you're manifesting something for your life, you need to kind of almost like, I guess, fake it till you make it, but kind of walk in that truth in a way. Like if you want a life that like every weekend you're doing something to pamper yourself, think of ways you can do that, even if it's not like the way you're dreaming of, you know what I mean? Like if you dream of one day living in a really big house, like maybe do what you can to your current like living situation to make it feel as luxury and nice as you can. So like just kind of doing those acts of service for yourself. So like I know for myself, I really like to like, you know, explore. I like to travel. So whenever I can, I go try a new restaurant and I try a new food. I don't go too crazy because, as y'all know, I gotta, sorry y'all, my camera cut out for some reason, but I think it's back on. But like, yeah, I said I don't go too crazy, you know, I got a bad stomach. But yeah, like basically acts of service for myself are kind of doing little things I can in the city to feel like just like closer to those aspirations that I have for the future, you know. So I hope you guys like this video. I know it's a different styled video than all my other ones, but let me know down below if you liked it. Give it a thumbs up if you did. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any new videos. And I will see you guys next time.